Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey, this is Pam Perry. So today in America, looks like there's a coup. The world is watching. And it's not looking good. You would think in 2021, things are going to get better. And it looks like somebody's going to burn down the barn before they get out of here. So it's a different podcast today because there's a responsibility for journalists to really tell the story. And there's been a lot of talk about having diversity in the newsroom. And of course, they have race relations journalists and Elizabeth Atkins. She covered that at the Detroit News for many years, a friend of mine. And there has been, Washington Post. They have multicultural journalists and people talk about diversity and inclusion, and it's all the buzzwords. And what's happening now is that if they don't have enough people of color really covering the story, telling the story, of course, they always have to be objective. But what is it that we can do as average, everyday people? We're in an age where you can own the media. You can own your own media. I have a show. It's on LinkedIn Live. I can use my platform however I want to use it. What are you going to do with your platform? I just spoke with my Ready, Set, Go Speak community tonight, and I told them, I said, at the very least, you can do one podcast. You can go jump on anchor.fm and do one for free. You can start a YouTube Live. You can go on Facebook Live. And so many times we see the news and we just shake our head. It's like, wow, that's such a shame. But no, you really can help shape the news. You can help influence for the better. And especially talking to authors and speakers. And so many people is like, I'm out here, I'm a life coach. I want to transform lives. I want to, motivate. I want to inspire. But we've got a problem. Houston, there's a problem in America. And I'm going to speak to, first of all, those who have Christian messages. We have Martin Luther King Day coming up, not too long. We celebrate his birthday. How long? Not long. We have pastors that should be saying more than they should. We had the senator from, and I love him, the Ebenezer Church, who just made the senator in the Senate from Georgia. But Georgia is now blue for the first time, they said, since 1990 or something like that. And I'm not a political commentator, but I do see that there's signs that need to be changed in this world because stuff is wrong. So if you have a voice, if you're a speaker, you need to speak. If you're an author, you need to write, and you need to know your purpose. If nothing else, just to make sure that this kind of stuff gets shut down. The world is looking at us, how this is coming about. Watching on Twitter, seeing the things trend. Yes, I saw a video of one guy. He says, listen, if they were Black storming up on the Capitol, they would have been shot on arrival. That's true. Really? It's just like it's such unequal things that are going on. And journalists, Black journalists, they need our help to step up. Either you write an op-ed, opinion editorial, whether you do a podcast, whether you do a YouTube, whether you write a blog and you send it to someone. I'm not saying you have to write a book and this has to be your mission for the rest of your life. But at this season right now, everybody needs to have all hands on deck and they need to do something. Just like last year when George Floyd was killed in May, and then all the marches and the protests of the Black Lives Matter movement, people, we were marching. This right here has to stop. This can't keep going on. This is 2021. This is not the 60s. So anyone who's African-American, Black, people of color, whatever we call ourselves, we need to share our voices to the media. You need to write, at the very least, your Black newspaper and let them know that you won't stand for this, you have some solutions and outline them and send them to the Black newspaper, send them to the NMPA. If you have to, put them on blacknews.com. You can actually, it's like a newswire service. But if you are a thought leader, and most of the people that I help are authors and speakers and thought leaders, lead with some thoughts. Lead with some thoughts today. This world needs you. We don't need you to sell us another program, or you got another launch going, or you want to, show people how to do this and that and whatever. It's like, take some time to realize what's going on. Things will get better when you put your voice to work. When you put your voice to work, you don't have to write a book, but you do have to say something. And social media is great, but I'm talking about to the media. To the media. If you live in a city like Boston, there's your Boston newspaper there. Listen, the journalists are the majority of the journalists in any daily newspaper across the country. Majority of them are white. They have to find sources for stories. They're white, and maybe they only know other whites. But so they have to put something together, and they need to know that you exist and that you have an opinion. So you need to pitch yourself to other newspaper reporters because they don't know you're there. Follow them on Twitter at the very least. Follow them on Twitter. See what they're talking about. Insert yourself in the conversations. It's time now. It's not the time to be quiet. And I'm just really upset about this because it really is something that didn't have to get here. I don't even know how we got here. Hey, how are you? Hi, Ifa, you're so right. Yeah, we do need to speak up and speak out. Right? They just had to come over here to LinkedIn Live to my crew over here. But it's time out. And all the reality shows and people are Netflixing, and I'm gonna watch the show on Roku, and I'm gonna do all this. That's all fine. In the reality, you got to realize, how did we get here? It is so much hate. And Martin Luther King's birthday is coming up in the next few, if you listen to this podcast in real time or live on real time. So one of the things he talks about is love. And people should maybe go back and read some of his old books. I heard Don Lemon the other day. He was talking about, gave some quotes from Martin Luther King as well. So it's like, we got to do better. So we got a new president and we got a new vice president coming into the White House. That's great. They're going to do good. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do in terms of media? The journalists can only do so much. They're looking for sources, and be a source. I read something about, in terms of journalism and the multicultural society, right? I'll just read you this. It says, in recent decades, we have observed an increasing awareness of and more attention to being paid to what the purpose of journalism should be in serving in a multicultural society, which is what we have, right? We have seen this in the newsrooms and the journalism schools and journalism research in society at large. Relevant questions are, to what extent and how journalism contributes to the prejudice and intolerance in society, and to what extent and how journalism contributes to the integration in a multicultural society. Media researchers talk about that along with the digital revolution, multiculturalism can be seen as a main challenge facing journalism today. Meaning they don't know how to hire Black journalists. We've got, of course, that's why we have and always will have the Black newspaper, the Black press, Black radio talk shows. That's why we're going to have Black magazines, because it's still a problem. We're talking about, like, this is systemic. So journalism and multicultural society is saying, oh, well, this is the biggest challenge that we're facing. And we do have organizations like NABJ that's over 40 years old. No Time to Hate. Yes, exactly. And so at this point in time, how do you insert our voice into mainstream media? And mainstream media influences our minds. So how do you do that? So we do, thank God the Washington Post just hired a multicultural reporter. So she's really doing her job in terms of trying to cover, but there's only so much you can do. So that's why it's our responsibility to voice. to be a source for them, to the newspapers, to the magazines, to the television stations, and to have time to say something relevant. Say something relevant that they can cover. I mean, if quote unquote we're in the age of citizen journalism and we want to do that, talk about the things that matter, that that really will give diversity a good thing, make that a good thing. That's that, when you hear that whole thing, make America great again, what does that mean? Diversity is really the good thing. We're a multicultural society. That's what we should be promoting. That's what's amazing about our country. We can do this. And I'm just so full because I have Black journalist friends and that sort of thing. And they struggle in these newsrooms because typically it's like maybe one or two in the newsroom that look like them. And the stuff like this is going on. And then they've got to feel like they have to fight. So we don't want them to fight that hard. We want to be able to help them, support them, retweet them if you know them. What can you do? You can support your Black journalist friends, newspapers, at the very least. NNPA, which is the National Newspapers Publicists Association. It's actually run by, we'll have his magazine over here, Dr. Ben Chavis. Okay. Anything that he puts out, Dr. Ben Chavis, support it. Okay. If anybody remembers, he was on the cover of Speakers Magazine, October. All right. He has a PBS show as well. Ed Gordon, he's another one. He wrote a book called Conversations in Black. And his book talks about really thought leaders and that sort of thing, really fire starter candid conversations around narratives. You see Ed's podcast, promote that, share that. We need to rally around our Black media. Dr. Boyce Watkins is another one that has a great voice that you want to share his podcasts on YouTube and that sort of thing. Share them with friends. Share it to the media in your community. Listen, the media, they're not roving around in the city trying to find like, oh, well, what does the Black community have to say? So they're going to go to the same people that they know all the time, their favorite five, right? But we're not homogeneous. We have other people that can have things to say. So writing an op-ed, opinion editorial is a great thing. I don't care. You can write the op-ed. It doesn't have to be in the New York Times. You write it to your daily newspaper about how you feel about it. How did we get here? And what can we do to stop it? And then just say, oh, by the way, MLK Day is coming up. And then Black History Month is the following month. So I'm just going to tell you, this is how Black people, this is how we're going to roll. They go low, we go high, right? Michelle Obama said that. So that's really, talking about get out there and get known. Get out there and get known for what? That's what this podcast is about. It's about get out there and get known. But you want to make sure that you're making a difference, that you are going to make a difference and make a difference today. If you're upset about it, if you are, like this is crazy, what in the world is going on? If you take to social media, and I will say this, if you take to social media and you're putting things out on Facebook and Instagram and that sort of thing, be careful. You don't own that. They can shut you down. They could shut down your account. I've had a client that said that, hey, they they shut her Instagram account down right before the election because she had some opinions a certain kind of way. So, it's okay. It was free. She didn't own it. They said that she violated terms of service. So that's why I said the media is fair. You can go and submit something to the New York Times, the Washington Post, your daily Free Press, any of the newspapers and opinion editorials. That's a freedom of the press. You can say what you want to say. So I'm just saying, if it's a freedom of the press, be free to say something to the press now. All right. And that's all I got to say. I'm Pam Perry, PamPerryPR.com. I just had this conversation with the community at Ready, Set, Go, Speak, and they know that they are on top of it. And even pitch yourself to podcasts. Pitch yourself to podcasts as well. If you're not a writer, but, pitch yourself to podcasts as well. But let your voice be known. Get out there and get known, but be about a purpose. Okay? All right. So I'm Pam Perry, and I am out. Thanks for listening. Until next time, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, and I do them every week, and I have guests. So I have a great guest coming up next week, who was head of multicultural marketing for a few advertising agencies. So we'll have an interesting talk because this is going to continue about really putting in multicultural, making that what we are, America. We are not just one or the other. It's not like this or that. We're together in this. This is one. We are in one. So we got to learn how to work and live together. All right. So that's it. I'm Pam Perry, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a superstar.